Hey, what's going on out there? You know who it is. ZEUS CRUZ of Olympian Multimedia. And we are offering you a brand new segment entitled Enterprise Talk of the Minds. Where we're going to be talking about everything business. The purpose of this segment is to discuss various aspects of operating a business, from the early stages of creation to how the business is structured, discussing different obstacles that might come up as you're trying to develop and expand your business, and how to sustain the success of your business long term. And if you notice, to my left and to my right, we have a panel here of successful business owners that's going to give their perspective on this concept. So let's start off with ladies first. To my right, she is the founder and CEO of WORDSMITH Resource LLC, a New York-based writing and project management firm, and the proud author, and hopefully I don't drop these, of Gotta Be a Better Way, Volume 1 and 2. So please welcome Miss SANDREA Flowers. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here. And to my left is the proprietor of the business that we're in. Yes, we're on site live right here in downtown Trenton. Is the owner of Classic Books and Gifts, a bookstore right here in the heart of downtown Trenton. Not only offer books from all genres at affordable prices, but also serves as a beacon of unity by hosting various events that bring the community together. So let me welcome Mr. Eric MAYWAR. How are you doing today? Awesome. How you making out?
It's been a good day.
Definitely. I'm glad it's not raining, it's pouring, because it was doing that all week. Just bringing my spirit down. But here we are today. Not too bad with the weather. And we get to be with like-minded people. It's always a great thing to be around people like-minded. Each of us have our own business. And it's going to be great to just kind of get some insight. And hopefully you could provide the viewers some tips, techniques for those who are aspiring themselves to become a business owner. So let's get started. Let's start with the overview of a business, its purpose and the components. So to break that down even further, how important is it in the beginning stages for a new business owner to create an identity as they build upon their enterprise? Ms. Flowers, you want to start?
Well, it's critical because you want to separate yourself from the sea of other businesses that are out there. You want to stand out. Of course, you're in business to make money. You want to generate that revenue, get that income. So it's critical, and there's different levels to it. You definitely want to get your branding out there. The sooner the better. That takes, for some folks, it takes time. But once you get that branding set, of course, you're going to have your social media, have your website if you can. You know, some folks can't afford that, but if you can, definitely have a website. Start with those things. Word of mouth is big, and you want to make sure you get yourself established in the community. And just, you have to network, mix and mingle.
Yeah, definitely is a good point. I like how you brought up the point about word of mouth. Sometimes we tend to rely too much on social media, and sometimes it's just great just putting yourself out there, like you said. Try to get the community involved and just kind of make it more personable.
Absolutely.
And approachable for people. Eric?
Yeah, no, right on the money. With branding, I know early on, before we really had gotten going, we had somebody who was trying to help us out, and when they were thinking about branding, they were just thinking, do you have a logo? Do you have your colors picked out? But branding's a little bit more than that. Like, you have to figure out where it is that you're connecting with your customers or your clients on kind of a emotional level. That's sort of the more important part of branding than if you go with a purple or a light blue for your for the color on your logo. But this person made logos for a living, so they had a particular focus. But when you're looking at branding, keep an eye on sort of everything. How are you going to really connect with folks? one useful tool. You talked about social media, and you talked about word of mouth. Another thing that we used on, especially early on, is to get some earned media. So you can pay for your media, but that of course costs money. But if you can do things that's newsworthy and get write-ups in the paper, that's free media, and really people read that more than they read ads anyways. So to look for that earned media would be important.
I think also too is the moniker that's been, it's like an age-old moniker. It takes money to make money. So if you're not willing to invest yourself as great into your business, how do you expect customers and clients to as well? So, and trust me, do not take clients and customers or underestimate their intelligence. They can read between the lines. They see as a business owner that you're not really putting much stock and equity in yourself.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a big turnoff to them. So let's move on to our next point about the importance of a business plan and its elements that go along with that. So for your viewers out there that is not familiar with a business plan, its purpose is to assist a team and investors and understand the overall vision of your company. So from here, what do you think is the most important aspect of a business plan? And how do you utilize a business plan as a tool to help in the development of your company? Eric, you want to say?
Sure. Like early on, business plans are important. Like you sort of assume that when you're starting a business, you have a love for a part of your business. You're a baker, you really love to bake. But a business plan will help you map out the things you haven't thought of. Have you figured out what your insurance is going to be? Have you figured out what your marketing plan is going to be? Sort of the business aspects that may go beyond your initial interest in whatever your business is. I know our first bookstore was in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and there were a lot of folks that were there because they knew art or they knew antiques, but they did not really know business, and so that made it a struggle for them. A business plan can help you map that stuff out in the beginning, so you can prepare yourself and not be surprised later on that there's an aspect of your business you're kind of weak on.
Very good point. Sandy?
I would agree. And to add on to that, I think, well, if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going. So I think another important part of the business plan are the financials, your projections. You want to know, okay, where am I going to be in 5 years? Where do you anticipate that you will be in 5 years, 10 years, however it is. Plus, remember, the business plan, when you want to start getting investors involved, that's the first thing that they're going to want to see.
And you want to put some real thought into that. I've seen business plans where they know they have to have projections, so they just sort of make some numbers up. You want to be fair to yourself, by really putting some thought into compare what other people have done in their first year and second year and figure out that way how much you're going to make. I started the bookstore coming from a market research firm, and as a going away present, they came and did a consumer study about how much business we could expect to have. I mean, it was fantastic. Like they sat in front of, there was a new bookstore in New Hope. They sat in front of the new bookstore for 8 hours, for 4 days, doing a click count, not even of the people that came in and out, but which ones were coming out with bags, and so that who was actually spending money and not just browsing. And then they figured one of them was inside the shop, and they figured out what an average sale was, so they would say yes, and almost down to the dollar they said this is how much you're going to expect to make in the summer. Well, and that's very helpful when you're trying to figure out what your budget's going to be or what your realistic or unrealistic expectations of where you're going to go. Yeah, so do yourself a favor and really pay attention to that.
And also, too, just for people to get an understanding is about being honest as well. Being really authentic when you're putting and comprising your business plan. And a nice component that you could put in your business plan is called a SWOT analysis, where it allows you to outline your weaknesses, but along with your strengths as well. And then what you are presently going to do in the future as far as making them with weaknesses, into strengths. So
if I could add on to that, though, talking about the SWOT analysis, I think also too, the threat component of that is big, because I think investors will also want to see too, how realistic are you with the business? Do you really know? Do you know your competitors? And in terms of the threats, what mitigation measures did you plan anything out to address those threats?
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And again, when they look at a business plan, they're kind of going to coincide with what they're seeing there versus what they visually see with your business. If you're talking with investors, they want to kind of know pretty much through A through Z how the business is operating. So if it doesn't match up based off what your business plan provides, that information, that tends to be a turnoff as well.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to our next topic. We got capital versus budget, residual versus resources. So again, just to give you a little bit of enlightenment for you guys out there, capital is cash or liquid assets being held or obtained for expenditures, not limited to all the business assets that have monetary value. From this, a budget needs to be implemented to cover operating expenses. Consideration as well should be given to how to create residuals so as to maintain the functionality of your business and, of course, increase your profit margin. Obviously, you wouldn't be in business if you're not trying to make money. So, provide the viewers with techniques on how to stay within budget while creating value for your business. And what are the warning signs, in your opinion, that shows that the business seems to be failing or trending downward? Sandy, you want to start?
Well, so my situation is a little different. I'm pretty sure you can relate. I operate my business part-time because I still have my 9 to 5. So there's a little bit of flexibility with me in terms of the capital because I'm not 100% in, not yet anyway. I hope to be within 5 years. We'll see. So in terms of capital, I have a budget. Because I do have my 9 to 5, I do inject funds into the company. There's a specific phrase of what's that called. My sister, who's an accountant, told me. But I make sure. So I have automatic savings put directly into the business checking account every month. In terms of budgeting, because it's a service business, it's pretty much a service business. I don't really have the assets other than my laptop and some other equipment, so that's really not too big of an issue. I'm hoping years down the line, in terms of capital investments, of course the goal is to secure some real estate, perhaps a retail shop such as this, and then take it from there. So we'll see.
Awesome. Always got to have goals. Eric?
My one piece of advice is to scale up slowly but grow as your business grows. Don't overextend on the things that you want to do. So we started originally in our basement, so we weren't paying rent, and we were selling wholesale to other bookstores. They'd come over, we'd get them drunk. They would buy a bunch of books at discount, and
Good technique.
we did that as long as we could because the risk became very low. And then at some point they were saying, when are you getting your own shop? Like over and over and over again. And he said, okay, I think it's time to make that jump. So controlling I know folks that they immediately want to jump to that brick and mortar space, and you don't really have to do that. To do it in little parts and then scale it up as you can. Bookstores are weird in terms of generalizable advice because I don't have staff. I don't have any inventory costs because all the books are donated. So we are there's not a lot of risk we have rent and we have utilities, and that's pretty much everything. So that's, but at the same time, you probably don't have the opportunity to make as much money because it's, they're used books. You expect to get them for $6, not $32. So it's there's a little bit of a control there. So, but yeah, I would just advise to keep an eye on scaling up as you grow, not jumping too far ahead and then you find yourself in debt when you haven't grown to that size yet.
I'm pretty much in the same line of thinking. I operate my business, as you guys know, Olympian Multimedia, through the basement of my house. I did look into buying a bigger venue, bigger studio, but just the overhead costs and just having the mindset knowing that I could utilize that money for something else that's a little bit more important. And being a small business, marketing, promotion is a big thing for me. Especially where I'm at personally, you guys know, South Jersey, it gets a little hard down there as far as like really people to invest and buy into what you're doing. So that's a big component for my business, is just to find multiple ways to promote and endorse our brand. So you guys definitely made a good point. Being realistic with your goals, especially when you're dealing with money, because things can get hectic real quick, and could put you in a hole maybe you're already in deeper.
I have a question. Do you guys use the digital space, or like how saturated are you with the digital space?
The digital space saved the bookstore during the pandemic. I mean, when nobody could go to a brick and mortar spot, I just started browsing the store on Facebook, and I would go to a shelf, I'd take a picture of every book, and I'd throw it up there and say, hey, if you want this, I'll deliver it to your house. And we got tons of orders. Like, we're still doing it today. And we weren't doing it, like, I don't know why I wasn't doing that ahead of time. Like, if it wasn't for the digital space, we would have been dead in the water.
I mean, I utilize it as well. I think the main thing that we use here at Olympian is it's a tool called MailChimp. Oh, I think that's MailChimp, correct? It's a marketing tool that you use through your email, and that's definitely up my sales, up my business, just gaining more clients. I don't have a truckload of clients. I'm trying to work myself up there, but that's been a great tool in itself, just utilizing that. Who would have thought just using your email can be such a tool to get yourself out there? But the best thing to do is just do your research. You got to do what's best in the interest of your business. What someone else is doing may not be right for you. So you kind of got to find your own niche.
One thing that we do in the digital space, to following what ZEUS is talking about, is when we decide we're going to try to experiment with another digital platform, we find ways to measure what that return is on that investment, so you can figure out whether or not that's going to be useful or not. And so, like, we might offer, say, 30% off, and then we track how many of those come into the store, and that gives you an idea of how many people are responding to you. Like, my wife can get people on Instagram, and I can't get them, so I don't know what is going on with that. But then on Facebook, I pull them in, and she can't get them, so I don't. It's because I'm old and boring, I think. But that's so. But being able to like constantly sort of measure that stuff, because that'll change year to year. Don't think that this year I'm doing really well on Facebook, and then next year, like, you have to always keep an eye on how well it's doing, so you can adapt as things adapt. I mean, 5 years ago, Twitter was great. You know, now I'm not making $1 on it. That's but TikTok's fantastic. So it's, you know, it's always changing. How about you? You asked the question, but how do you use the digital space?
Oh, I'm heavy with my website. I'm big on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm all for it, because I don't have a brick and mortar.
Right.
And I don't have a basement. And so everything is through the website and through my social media platforms. Yeah, and word of mouth, of course.
And also to events. You know,
that's big. Yes,
me and Sandy
that's how we met.
That's where we met, at the IABX Book Expo. So definitely, that's meant to be for books, but you can still kind of use that as a segue to inject your business as well, depending on what event you're in. So let's go on to our next topic, which is the challenges of operating a business. Yes, guys, there are challenges. It ain't always sunny days when it comes to operating a business. So, do you feel it's a sign of weakness for an entrepreneur to revamp their business, whether from changing its concept or structure to introducing new services or products? So, a business owner gets to the point where they're kind of going into a stalemate. Their profit margin is not really there. It's pretty much, Do you feel like it's a sign of weakness on their part to go ahead and try to rework their entire business, maybe the operations, maybe redesign their logo, their moniker associated with it? Eric?
No, I almost didn't understand the question. If people aren't always reevaluating what they're doing, they're dead. Like, that's dinosaurs were strong, but they didn't make it. Like, you have to be able to adapt to everything that comes your way. Yeah. And whether that's, we were talking about marketing, digital marketing, but it's really everything. Like, we'll do every year or two, we'll do a shelf analysis. What sections are selling more than other sections, so we can grow that section and shrink the ones that aren't selling. And that stuff changes as the customer base changes. Like, during the pandemic, the state workers stopped coming, and now they're only back like half. So more of my business, a third of my business was always local folk, and a third was always crazy people from Philadelphia and New York who will go really far for collectible books. But now it's even more on those two and less on state workers because they're not here. I mean, you always have to be paying attention to changes in your environment, or you're really, it's not weakness at all, I guess, to answer the question.
Danny?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. It's actually a strength, because like you said, if you're not doing that, you're dead. You're gonna go out of business. I think that folks, business owners, they need to keep their finger on the pulse to see what's going on, and it's a lot, but you have to do it. Particularly if you want to stay around, you want that longevity, you have to do it. I know today with social media and the young folks, business owners can tap into their children, their nieces, their nephews to see what's going on out there. Because each demographic, each group in terms of age, have their own buying power. So you want to grab a little bit of all of it if you can, but you're only going to get that if you're paying attention to what's going on and adjust as needed.
Yeah, I can say for the bookstore business, so this month we've been in business 24 years, and during that there was a point like 10 years in where everybody's saying all the bookstores are going under because of Amazon, and there were a lot of bookstores closing. But you had to pay attention because it wasn't everybody. It was really the ones that didn't have much of a profit margin were closing, but the ones that were strong were still strong. So, like, keeping an eye on as those sort of market forces changes will help you decide, like, do I continue with this or do I not continue with it? And now for the past 10 years, but the number of used bookstores has been growing. Like, the demand for it is sort of returned. From that moment where everybody said, oh, everybody's going to be using e-readers and Amazon and you're out of business. But now some people don't like Amazon and some people like a book in their hands, and you'll be all right. But
you guys made a great point as well. Just to piggyback off what y'all were saying, I know with my business being multimedia, one of the components is music. And that tends to be probably our biggest as far as what residuals we get off of. Probably about between 45% of our business comes from music. But we also had to kind of translate that into something else, because with the pandemic, people were not inclined to come in studio and record and go about just creating an EP or an album or even let alone a single. So the pandemic actually empowered people to start utilizing these different tools out there to start making their own music. Or a big component now is to do the video snippets, and then adding some music production to it, some type of a score or soundscape to it. So people been emboldened since the pandemic, to go to your point, Eric, of kind of doing it on their own. So it's kind of like my mindset was, how can I tap into that and not lose the flow of my business? So now we have online stores that we operate that provides content, musical content, in the form of different loops, synths, Vox samples, different types of audio samples that they can incorporate into their production.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So you definitely, to your point, the only reason why I brought it up, because it was brought to my attention that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've been talking to different business owners, people I know, and they made it known that, hey, this has been working for me about 10 years, 15, 20 tops. What do I need to do? I don't need to change anything. I've been successful. But I think the goal is to kind of be more successful, Put yourself in a better position where you can grow. And then utilize what you have in order to pass it forward, possibly, and help others. Help people, put them in the position where they can be successful as well. So I feel like somebody will have that kind of mentality is a little bit selfish.
Yeah, it might. I mean, there might be some businesses that aren't changing as much, but you should always look at it and see, is my position the same position it was last year? Maybe the answer is yes. And then you go, okay, then great. Everything I'm doing is good. But you just got to keep checking, because one day it's not going to be, and then you're going to be wishing you had been paying attention to stuff.
Definitely.
Absolutely. To add to that, even if the business is going great, at some point, look at all the companies that have gone out of business. Remember, Nobody Beats the Wiz.
Somebody beat them.
Woolworth, Cowdoors. For whatever reason, they went out of business. So even if your business model is perfect, you should still have a team if you can, or if you're doing it yourself, to see what's coming on the pike, what's trending. Even if you don't do anything with it, you have the information. If at some point you do want to use it. Yeah,
GE was at one point the most successful company in the world. I think last week they spun off their last division, and they've been struggling because they didn't adapt to all the changes that were going on. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, going on with what you were saying, Sandy, about you can stay with the trends and stay true to yourself. You just got to find that balance. I think some people just feel like, if they are willing to change, they tend to go to the extreme, and you don't need to go to the extreme.
Right.
Just make subtle changes, which you alluded to earlier, and then just kind of grow from that. Check your analytics. It's very important to check the analytics to your business constantly, so you have an understanding of what's going on and then how you're able to make improvements. That all basis on developing your business plan. You kind of want to use that as your template, your point of reference associated with the analytics. Go back and forth, straighten the resolve of your business overall, or at least the operations of it.
Absolutely.
So our next point on the docket is reality versus fantasy as regards goals for the business. Sometimes people bite a little bit more than what they can chew as far as what they can actually accomplish through their business. So what are your guys' thoughts on that when it comes to being realistic as far as your goals, the scale of it? Should you start small, or should you just go and just aim big? Sandy, you want to start?
I'm pragmatic, so I think you need to start small and take it bit by bit. But in terms of reality versus fantasy, so years ago I would have probably said, don't bother with the pipe dreams. But if you look at the recent, the last couple of companies in the past, maybe about 10, 15 years, how they have transformed. Look at TikTok. I forgot the name of the parent company, but Facebook wasn't around when I was growing up, So I wouldn't say to totally disregard the fantasy. Keep that in mind, but you have to inject some realism into that. You're gonna start off slow, right? You're gonna be practical, but that fantasy, don't ever let that go. No, that fuels you. That's where your passion is. And if at some point you can see that to fruition, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
I thought we were going to finally disagree on something, but I agree with you completely.
Nice.
Because I'm always cautioned when the steps that you take should be practical, but that doesn't mean you don't have these far-fetched. I'm going to be the biggest used bookstore on the East Coast. Okay, maybe that's never going to happen, but you take practical steps towards it. Maybe you never get to that fantasy goal, but that doesn't mean you don't think about it. Yeah.
It's good to dream.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as you're operating your business, of course, you have to be practical in the way you're conducting different things and different aspects of your business. But it's okay to have some far-fetched dreams or goals. Just keep them to the side. And then maybe down the road, alluding to what you were saying, you could come back to that and kind of implement what you're trying to do with your business, and obviously trying to elevate your business. Again, that should be another goal for you guys, for you out there that's trying to start a business. So last but not least on our concepts on the docket, how to sustain success long term. So clearly, if you're going into business, you're looking to do this full term. Obviously, you just don't want to start, especially if you get into a habit of you start a business, you didn't quite do things properly with it, you end that just to start another one, then you end that to start another one. That's just not that's a bad trend to start. So in your guys' opinion, what's the main things or the main components to lead into a long, successful business? Eric?
We have to love what you do, because if you don't like going to work, that's a quick way to have a short business. You have to be You have to be capitalized well. If you don't have the money to cover your expenses in one way or another, that's the end of you. Yeah. Maybe that's a boring answer, but that's all I can think of.
No, that's a great answer. I think that's the. I don't mean to cut you off, Sam, but I just love that point of loving what you do. I mean, you got to put in work in order for your business to be successful. You know what I mean? You can't have like a monorail type of mind, whereas like I just do a couple things and then you felt like that's, you're going to be successful, because nothing's going to be given to you on a silver platter. So it's all about how much dedication and being honest with yourself on how much you're going to take, because you're going to be making a lot of sacrifices in order to be successful. What do you think?
No, I agree with all of it. Just to piggyback off of what you guys said, success, you have to love what you do. I mean, you've seen so many folks start businesses. Folks have been chasing the cryptocurrency. They're chasing Bitcoin. They're chasing this. They're chasing that. No, and it's not something that they love. So why bother? No, it has to be something that you're into, that you like, that you love, and the success will come with it after that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big component of that. I mean, Eric, it'd be something if you're operating this bookstore.
That's right.
And then people ask you different questions, and you're like, well, I'm not into books.
I always wanted
I'm just
to own
pretty
a
much here to
cell phone
just be
store.
here. So it's kind of like they're wondering, like, wow, why would you open a bookstore if you don't have any kind of love or passion for doing that? And the same thing for your business, just being hands-on with people, providing these services to put people in a better position where they could be successful. For you to just be like, well, I'm kind of just doing this because I ain't have no other option. So I figure I just would do that. And some people feel that way. They're just like, I don't want to do the 9-to-5 thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and start a business. How hard can it be to start a business?
Guess
what? I just do a little something here, a little something here, and the money should be coming in. And it really doesn't work that way. Please, guys, whatever you're watching, movies, TV shows, that's definitely all fantasy right there. It's a lot more to it, and it definitely takes a lot of preparation on yourself in order to get things going. So, guys, I definitely appreciate you being part of this segment. I think it was awesome to sit here and discuss these different things regarding business. I hope for you viewers that's watching this was very helpful. We're definitely encouraging you. There were some pros and some cons we talked about. We're not trying to scare you off as far as trying to start your business. Definitely do it, because that definitely brings enlightenment to the community. Again, presents opportunities well for other people. Eric, how about you tell the viewers a little bit more where to locate your bookstore and what kind of events that you host here?
Okay, so Classics Books is at 4 West Lafayette in downtown Trenton. We've been here for 19 years. Before that, we were in New Hope. We're on Facebook under my name, Eric Maywar, M-A-Y-W-A-R. We have a YouTube channel under Classics Books. And we have all sorts of community events. I mean, aside from the books for sale, of course. We have an open mic that was here earlier today. We have a knitting group. We have a Scrabble club. We have authors that come and do book signings. So there's always something going on.
Awesome. So definitely, if you're in the Trenton area, definitely come check it out. Trenton is a great place to come visit. For Miss Flowers, tell the viewers a little bit about WORDSMITH Resource LLC, how they can get involved with it, what kind of services that you provide.
WORDSMITH Resource LLC is a project management and writing service company. We specialize in resumes, cover letters, and other job-related documents to get people into to work, get people into the jobs that they actually want to do. That has also spun off into books. I have a resume book, and I now have 2 poetry books. The poetry is related to the employee experience. Both of them evoke a lot of emotion. There's so many employees, as we talked about previously, that are unhappy, and it just validates what they're feeling and what they're going through and helps them. Let's find some solutions. So the website is wordsmithresource.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Yeah, I think I have a YouTube channel, but it's not. I haven't done anything with it yet. We're working on that. So. Yeah.
Awesome. And enlighten on where they could get the books.
The book is on Amazon. You can also find it on the website, wordsmithresource.com.
So you guys, do yourself a favor and just get these books. I mean, you're probably going to spend it on some worthless stuff anyway. So get something that actually has some substance to it. So go ahead and get these books. They're fantastic reads. I love them. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends. But anyhow, it's the truth though. These are, I definitely piggyback different ideas off both of them. I just love the passion, the energy that you have for your business and what you're doing. Especially with you, Eric, just the fact of just using your bookstore as a pillar for the community, a place where people can come, be themselves. You're hosting different events. You're bringing people together. I think, me personally, that should be a big component when you're trying to develop and enhance your business. How can you get people involved and create opportunities for them? You know, pass the blessings forward. If you're being blessed and you have the means to, go ahead and pass it forward. And I feel like your success will be even greater in that way.
Absolutely.
So again, I appreciate it, Eric, Sandy, for being part of this, sitting down with me. I'm glad I didn't have to pull teeth to get these guys with me. Because I know you're coming from a long way. Eric, you didn't have to go so far.
I had to walk from the front.
Walk from the front to the back. But we appreciate you allowing us to be in your bookstore and host this segment. Definitely appreciate it and grateful.
Anytime.
So, again, you know who it is. ZEUS CRUZ of Olympian Multimedia. And I guess the only thing left to say is we'll check you later.